kept away by military police. Even the cadets couldn't help looking curious and concerned. "You're getting chummy with Burns and the FBI," Sampson said, as we walked to the murder scene on Bartlett Loop. "He's given a lot of help." "He has it in his head that I might want to work with them," I told Sampson. "And? Might you?" I smiled at Sampson, didn't confirm or deny. "I thought you were getting out of police work, sugar. Wasn't that the big master plan?" "I don't know anything for sure right now. Here I am, though, headed to another completely fucked-up murder scene with you. Same shit, different day." "So, you're still hooked, Alex. Bad as ever, right?" I shook my head. "No, I'm not hooked on the case, John. I'm helping you out. Remember how this started? Payback for Ellis Cooper?" "Yeah, and you're also hooked. You can't figure out this puzzle. That makes you angry. And curious as hell. That's who you are, Alex. You're a hunter." "I am what I am." I shook my head and finally smiled. Said Popeye the Sailor Man. Chapter 64. The Bennett house was roped off and secured. Sampson and I identified ourselves to a nervous-looking MP at the perimeter of the crime scene. I could tell that he'd never seen anything like this before. Unfortunately, I had. After we put on disposable paper boots, we were permitted to climb 3 stone steps that led into the house. Then we went looking for a CID officer named Pat Conti. The Army was cooperating because of the other cases. They'd also let in a couple of FBI techies to show their good faith. I found Captain Conti in the narrow hallway leading from the living room. The murders had apparently taken place in the kitchen. Techies were dusting for fingerprints and photographing the scene from every angle. Conti shook hands and then told us what he knew, or thought that he knew at this point. "All I can give you so far is the obvious. From the looks of things, Colonel Bennett and his wife were engaged in an argument that seems to have turned violent. For a while, she must have given as good as she got. Then Bennett retrieved his service revolver. He shot her in the temple. Then Colonel Bennett shot himself. Friends say that he and his wife were close, but that they fought a lot, sometimes violently. As you can see, the shooting took place in the kitchen, sometime last night." "That's what you think happened?" I asked Conti. "At this point, that's my statement." I shook my head and felt my anger rising. I was told that because of the possible connection of these deaths with the others that we could expect cooperation here. Captain Conti nodded. "That's what you just got. My full cooperation. Excuse me, I have work here." He walked away. Sampson shrugged as we watched the CID officer shuffle off. "Can't say that I blame him too much. I wouldn't want you and me messing around at my crime scene either." "So, let's go mess around." I went over to see if I could get anything from the FBI people, the Evidence Response Team, also known as ERTs. They were being their usual thorough selves in the kitchen. Given the normal amount of dislike for the FBI, it's remarkable how much respect is given to ERTs. The reason is, they're very, very good. 2 members of the ERT were taking Polaroid shots in the kitchen. Another, wearing a white coverall called a bunny suit, was looking for fibers and hairs using an alternative light source. Everybody had on rubber gloves and paper booties over their shoes. The head man was named Michael Fesco. I had already met him down on the Appalachian Trail, where he had supervised the crime scene investigation in the woods. "CID giving you their full cooperation too?" I asked. He scratched his light brown crew cut. "I can tell you my version, and it's a little different from Captain Conti's." "Please," I said. Fesco began. "The killers, whoever they were, did a thorough job with both the setup and the cleanup. They've done this before. They're professionals through and through, just like the killers in West Virginia." "How many of them?" I asked. Fesco held up 3 fingers. 3 men. They surprised the Bennetts at dinner, and then they murdered them. These men, they bring force to bear without conscience. You can quote me on that. Chapter 65.
It was time to celebrate. The war was over. Starkey, Harris, and Griffin ordered obscenely large, very rare porterhouse steaks topped with jumbo shrimp at Sparks' restaurant on East 46th Street in Manhattan. For anyone with wads of the green stuff, there was no better place to get happy in a hurry than New York City. 3 years, but it's finally over, said Harris, raising a glass of cognac, his fourth after-dinner drink of the evening. Unless our mysterious benefactor changes his mind, cautioned Starkey. It could happen. One more hit, or maybe a complication that we didn't plan on. Which doesn't mean we shouldn't party tonight. Brownlee Harris finished his cheesecake and dabbed his mouth with a cloth napkin. Tomorrow we go home to Rocky Mount. The good life. That's not so terrible bad. We're finally out of the game, undefeated and unscored upon. Nobody can touch us now. Warren Griffin just grinned. He was pretty well plowed. So was Harris. But not Starkey, who said, "But tonight we party. We damn well deserve it. Just like the old days, Saigon and Bangkok, Hong Kong. The night is young and we're full of mischief. Piss and vinegar." He leaned in close to his friends. "I want to rape and pillage tonight. It's our right." After they left the restaurant, the three friends strolled to East 52nd between First and York. The brownstone they stopped at was a walk-up that had seen better days. 4 stories, no doorman. Starkey knew it as Asia House. He rang the front buzzer and waited for the intercom. He had been here before. A woman answered in a sultry voice. "Hi, may I have your code, please, gentlemen?" Starkey gave it in Vietnamese. Silver Mercedes 11. They were buzzed inside. "Các em đem cho, em đẹp hết say," the female said in Vietnamese. "The ladies are waiting, and they are stunning." "So are we," Thomas Starkey said and laughed. Starkey, Harris, and Griffin climbed the flight of red-carpeted stairs. As they reached the first landing, a plain gray door opened. An Asian girl, slender and young, no more than 18, and gorgeous, stood legs akimbo in the doorway. She had on a black bra and matching panties, thigh-high stockings, slingbacks with high heels. "Hi there," she said in English. "I'm Kim. Welcome, you're very good-looking men. This'll be fun for us, too." "You're very beautiful, too, Kim," Starkey said in Vietnamese. "And your English is flawless." He then pulled out a revolver and pointed it between the girl's eyes. "Don't say another word or you die. Right here, right now, Kim. Your blood all over the carpet and those walls." He shoved the girl into a living room where 3 other girls were seated on 2 small couches. They were also young, Asian, very pretty. They wore silk negligées, lavender, red, and pink, with color-coordinated high heels and stockings. Victoria's Secret. "Don't speak, ladies. Not a word," Starkey said, pointing his gun at one, then another. "Shh." Brownlee Harris held a finger to his lips. "Nobody gets hurt. We don't want that either. Trust me, my little Asian dolls." Starkey threw open the door at the rear of the living room. He surprised an older woman, probably the voice over the intercom, as well as a husky bouncer in a black t-shirt and gym shorts that had Crunch stenciled on it. They were greedily eating Chinese food out of cardboard containers. "Nobody gets hurt," Starkey said in Vietnamese as he shut the door behind him. "Hands up high." The man and woman slowly raised their hands, and Starkey shot them dead with the silenced revolver. He wandered over to some high-tech equipment and calmly removed a tape. The surveillance camera at the front entrance had recorded their arrival, of course. Starkey left the slumped, bloody bodies and returned to the living room. The party had begun without him. Brownlee Harris was kissing and fondling the pretty young girl who had answered the door. He had lifted Kim up and held her tiny mouth pressed against his. She was too frightened to resist. "Ma kai nai, moi dem lai ni kinyen," Starkey said, and smiled at his friends, but also at the women. Memories are made of this.
Chapter 66.
They had done this many times before, and not just in New York. They'd celebrated victories in Hong Kong, Saigon, Frankfurt, Los Angeles, even London. It had all started in South Vietnam when they were just boys in their teens and early 20s, when the war was on and the madness was everywhere around them. Starkey called it bloodlust. The 4 Asian girls were terrified, and that was the thrill for Starkey. He totally got off on the look of fear in their eyes. Starkey believed that all men did, though few would admit it. "Bong Dao! Mong Ma Tik Ang Mong!" he shouted. "We want to party now." "Ke Mao Tik Ang Mong Te Toi!" It's a celebration. Starkey found out the girls' names: Kim, Lan, Susie, and Hua. They were pretty, but Kim was truly beautiful. A slender body with small breasts, delicate features, the best of a complicated heritage that could be Chinese, French, and Indian. Harris found bottles of scotch and champagne in a small kitchen. He passed the hooch around and made the girls drink too. The alcohol calmed them, but Kim kept asking about the owner. Occasionally the bell rang downstairs. Kim's English was the best, so she was told to say that the girls were busy for the night. A private party. "Come back another time, please. Thank you." Griffin took 2 of the girls upstairs to another floor. Starkey and Harris looked at each other and rolled their eyes. Starkey kept an ear cocked once Griffin was upstairs. At least he'd left 2 pretty ones for Brownlee and him. Kim and Lan. Starkey asked Kim to dance. Her eyes were gleaming slants of dark purple. Except for her 3-inch heels, Kim was naked now. An old song by the Yardbirds played on the radio. As he danced, Starkey remembered that Vietnamese women had a thing about their height, at least when they were around American men. Or maybe it was American men who had a thing about height. Or length. Harris was speaking in English to Lan. He handed her a bottle of champagne. "Drink," he said. "No, drink it down there, babe." The girl understood, either the words or lewd gestures. She shrugged, then dropped onto the couch and inserted the champagne bottle in herself. She poured the champagne, then comically wiped her lips. "I was thirsty," she said in English. The joke got a good laugh, broke the tension. "Ang kung fai nua," the girl said. "You drink too." Harris laughed and passed the bottle to Kim. She lifted one leg and put it inside without sitting down. She kept it there while she danced with Starkey, spilling champagne all over the carpet and her shoes. Everybody was laughing now. "The bubbles tickle," Kim said, sitting down on the couch. "I have an itch inside me now. You want to scratch it?" she asked Starkey. The switchblade seemed to come from nowhere. Kim jabbed it at Starkey without actually stabbing him. She screamed, "You go! Leave right now or I cut you bad!" Then Starkey had his gun out. He was cool and calm. He reached over to the radio and shut off the loud music. Silence. And dread. Incredible tension in the room. Everywhere except on Thomas Starkey's face. "Dung! Sindung!" cried Kim. "Hai dep sung! Ong sang mo tendipo!" "No, no. Put the gun away." Starkey moved toward little Kim. He wasn't afraid of the switchblade, almost as if he knew he wasn't going to die like this. He twisted the knife out of her hand, then held the revolver against the side of her skull. Tears ran down the girl's smooth cheeks. Starkey brushed them away. She smiled up at him. "Hai lam tien, voi em di, ang lin," she whispered. "Make love to me, soldier man." Starkey was there in the apartment, but his head was in Vietnam. Kim was shaking, and he loved that. The total control he felt, the evil he was capable of, the electricity it could bring into his system. He looked at Harris, who had his gun out now too, and his friend knew. He just knew. They fired their guns simultaneously. The girls flew back against the wall and then slid down onto the floor. Kim was shaking all over, very close to death. "Why?"